Good morning, Norhayati, and anybody else in the Anime Studio Pro beginner group who's interested in using Photoshop to create figures for Anime Studio. I did this about a year ago because I wanted my figures to look a little more realistic. I've since decided that it's probably best to just learn how to do artwork inside Anime Studio. It gives you a lot more flexibility. But let me show you today what I learned about that. So what I've done is I've created a figure, some of my best 5-minute artwork. I'm terrible with a mouse in Photoshop, of this little girl figure. And what I've done is I've put every piece that I want to move independently on a separate layer. The exception to that is that I've made 3 separate faces, and those are intended for switch layers. I'll show you what I mean in a second. I then save that as a Photoshop file, and I go into Anime Studio. I go File, Import, and I'm going to choose an image file, and that's this one right here. This is really important. When I bring it in, of course, I have to choose individual layers, otherwise it mushes it all together. And there's my little figurine. All right, so what I'm going to do first of all is turn this group layer that Anime Studio automatically creates, and I'm going to convert it to a bone. And then what I'm going to do is group these 3 layers into their own group with selection, and I'm going to call that faces. I'm going to convert that to a switch layer. That allows me to switch between the different faces of the little girl character. All right. Now, to bind it, I'm going to create a really fast rig. So I'm going to start with just a bone to hold it all together. I'm going to put a bone up the dress, a bone in the head. I'm going to go back and choose that as the parent. There's lower arm bone, upper arm bone, hand bone. I'm going to choose this as the parent. Go down and make a little hip bone. Then I'm going to put a upper leg, lower leg, and foot. Excuse me. Now, what that does is create probably the effect that you're having, which is all this bending and distortion, right? So what I want to do is I want to use layer binds for each of the layers. That'll give you more control. What it'll mean is that these influence areas, I think they're called strengths in Anime Studio, will no longer really even matter. So how do I do that? Well, you select a layer with the geometry on it, with the picture you want on it. Then you go to this tool over here, which is the Bind Layer tool. I click on that. Then I click on the bone that I want to bind to that layer. If you did it successfully, it'll turn bright red. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down the chain, click on the arm. That's the bone I want. Faces, I'm going to bind the whole group layer to the head bone and the head itself to the head bone. Oop, got a little white over here. I guess that's okay. And I'm going to click on the body, and this is my body bone. I'm going to click on the leg, and this will be my leg bone. I'm going to click on the lower leg, and almost done. Boom. All right. And then what you'll notice is that regardless of the strength, I'm able to move each layer independently of the other. Now notice there, it's pretty rigid. There's no squash and stretch. There's no real sense of organic movement at all. So what you got is basically a marionette. But it is a Photoshop file, and it is Anime Studio. This layer binding technique is really useful to learn, as is point binding. If you're interested, I can tell you about that as well. Thanks for watching, and good luck. Take care.